I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is our Hartsville-Trousdale Water Sewer Utility Board meeting. This is a special called meeting, so any of the items that are on the agenda are all that we will be discussing this evening. Thank you for attending, and we have one more that should be here in any minute. But if we could go ahead and open the meeting and begin with our invocation, I'd appreciate it.
Join me in prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we pause at this time to give you thanks for life itself. We ask that you be with us in our deliberations. Let us do things that are fair and beneficial to all concerned. Help us to walk in your ways. We know that there's a lot of people in our community that have lost loved ones in the last few days. There is still sickness that walks among us. We ask your healing hands on those that are dealing with health issues. We're thankful for Tommy and his new health, and we want to give you thanks for that. And all these things we ask in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'll do our roll call, please.
Here.
Tonight, this special called meeting is brought to you on behalf of Conversations for Our Developers Request, our developers agreement, excuse me. We are looking to bring to this body that the old agreement until a certain date, and then switching to the new agreement. Basically, just so you know, what happened is we approved to make some updates to the developers agreement, and we did not within our meeting state a closing of the old agreement and a beginning of the new timeline for this new developers agreement to begin. In doing so, it brought us to a situation of there were some prerequisites that needed to be done, in my opinion. One should have been by Heather Bay, and I apologize to this board for not requesting a start date on that new developers agreement. That's something I should have brought before you, and I apologize to you, and I apologize to anyone else that this may have impacted. Secondly, it took a little while for the developers agreement to get changed on the website. And during that timeline, I was pursuing to have a special call meeting based on some other things that are on this agenda. And we'll talk about those possibly later. But at this moment, I would like to bring forth to you that we utilize the old agreement until a certain date and switch to the new date with a assigned date. That's what I'm asking for, an amendment to the new approved developers agreement.
So we will be just amending what we've already approved to put a end date on the old one and a start date on the new one. I know we had down on our agenda May 31st. I'm fine with that, but I wonder if it might not be a little easier to remember when it changed if we do it with the beginning of the next fiscal year, which is July 1st. That would give an extra probably about 60 days instead of 30 days for it to take, or 45 days for it to take effect. Just a thought, I'm good either way. Just wondered what other people's thoughts on that would be. Tommy said he didn't think it would cause a problem one way or the other. So I would, if there's no legal reason.
Do we
do
know
it.
if there will be an impact on this fiscal year compared to starting it later into the next year?
What I foresee is that it would be an impact to incoming funds if Tommy, if we did collect any other developers agreements and there's a 1 month timeline from the request date of the 31st to the July 1st date. Tommy, is there anything else that I'm not saying?
Would you repeat your question again?
I was asking if we knew the impact, the difference.
I don't, if you're
Yeah.
talking about between May 31st and the first, no, there shouldn't be no major impact. We have some still decisions to make with their 20-year study plan, which we're working on, that may affect some fees by July 1st. It'd probably be July 1st before we might know what those could be.
If I understand correctly, your request is for a July 1st conversation
Requesting
not May 1st,
discussion on it.
or
is the-
discussion for a July
Right,
1st.
basically.
Your question was about the difference between a May 31st and a July 1st.
There's no, I don't know of any significant impact, no. We got several developers out there, but I think most of them are still in the process of getting drawings approved and getting TDEC approval, going through us to get them approved, and they got to go to TDEC, and that takes some time. There's still several out there in that kind of area, and it might take every bit of a month or so to even get some of that done, for them to get that done.
My reasoning on that is, since we're so close to the end of this year, and that way it wouldn't affect anything in our current budget as far as revenue projections or anything. It would simply start with the new fiscal year. It would just, in the idea of fairness, give a little bit more time for the word, so to speak, to get out there and for us to get our written agreements and website and people to know that there is something in the works. Just trying to, don't want to put it out years ahead, but it just seemed like, since we're so close to the end of the fiscal year, that it would kind of make sense to start then, but I'm good with either way.
Well, personally, I'm not known for my patience, so I mean, sooner the better, just because it's gonna bring in revenue. I understand it's gonna affect somebody. Somebody's gonna draw the short straw, and they're gonna get hit with more money because of our arbitrary date that we choose. I don't want to single anybody out, but I don't want there any situation where there could be even a hint of impropriety on the board's part. That'd be my only concern. Like I said, somebody's gonna draw the short end of the stick anyway. May 31st, July 1st, somebody's project's gonna fall on the wrong side. So, I mean, I'm in a hurry to do everything, so. But I'll go along with whatever the body wants.
Thank you, sir. Do you have anything?
I personally don't see any reason to go to July 1st. I think May 31st is more than sufficient time. My understanding, developers talk pretty regularly, and I'm sure Tommy knows some ones we're dealing with, we can get out there. I don't think either way there's going to be a significant revenue impact out of this. And from what talking to Tommy, between May 31st and July 1st, I don't think we're going to lose out on any large amount of revenue. So I don't think there's really any issue there. And I'm kind of like Mark on this one. I could see going ahead and do it May 31st, but if the board votes July 1st, I don't think there's really any harm to the board either way.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make a huge financial impact for the department. I guess my thing is put this problem to bed because I've learned in my short time on this board that there's gonna be something else to deal with next month. So, that's just, I mean, I'm just being honest. That's what I do in my job is I deal with problems and excuse me, put out fires. And so I just, one less thing to paraphrase Gump.
Should we make a motion to have the beginning date be May 31st?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? I have a motion on the floor to begin the new developers agreement on May 31st. And by Mrs. Stafford, and I have a second by Mr. Jewell. Is there any more discussion? If I can have a vote, please. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Next order of business we have is Dr. Smith's developer's request to be grandfathered into the previous agreement. We have the representatives for that group here. If they would like to speak, you're more than what, this is your time to say your piece and ask any of your questions. If you'll come on up and come up to the microphone, and while you're walking up here, I'll let you know that there was one group that already had there was a group that is on Dr. Smith Lane, and they are under the assumption that they have to have a developer's agreement to put in a water line. And with that, they had already completed their they have their engineer approved plans. They've TDEC is approved. So their wheels were in motion for this process. And we're literally presenting this change in date in between the time where we were trying to get a special call meeting and everything. So, and you are more than welcome to ask your questions now. You'll state your name.
I'm Julie.
I'm Martha Dixon.
I mean, everyone got the timeline, I assume, that we submitted via email. Does anyone have any questions, I guess, would be?
I'm honest man.
Okay, I have one, so.
Well, if we've moved this start date on the new agreement, will that not take care of what y'all need?
That's what I assumed, but we don't know. Our contractor was ready to start the day before this meeting. And so we don't know where he is. Because he had to go to another job.
Oh,
I assume so, but I don't.
we don't know that for sure. I understand.
It just has to, he can't start work till, anybody can't start work till the contracts are signed and the fees are paid. That's kind of why he called and asked about that, and he, which is, he knows he has to do that before he starts work. Contractors do.
So all the prerequisites are completed for you to sign a contract. Is that accurate? And are you able to?
As far as we know, everything is done except for signing the contract, yes. And we were not aware that we had to do anything previous to when I walked into the office to just ask some questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. So they've presented it. This is your timeline that you brought in. Thank you. This is so everyone can see her report that she has presented. Apologize. I thought you were fixing to ask for the email where you asked for this request. So if you think that you're good with May 31st, I don't think that if you're comfortable with that, then I don't see that we need a motion or to move on number 2. Good.
I mean, I don't know all your legal terms and stuff, but, so with you passing the first motion, then that puts us into the last agreement before you voted on it, the last water board meeting. Is that correct?
To confirm your question, yes, the previous motion made it so anyone who is open at this time and ready to sign agreement has till May 31st to sign that agreement and move forward and on their projects. All right. I appreciate you all bringing this forward. Thank you so much. And thank you. Y'all have a great evening. Which you're the public. Do you have any more comments? Yeah. Great. We have any board member comments? Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I would just throw this out there. I was not going to be a motion or anything because it's not on the agenda or wasn't advertised in the newspaper, so we can't do it. But just in the future, I think when we're looking at changes in policy or contracts or anything like that, we might want to set a beginning date instead of making it effective immediately, maybe at least 30 days out to have an effective date or something like that. Again, given the policy, if it's an emergency situation, that something we need to have in place as soon as possible, I can see doing that effective immediately. But some of these changes like here where we're changing fees or rates or something like that, I think it's somewhat customary to set a beginning date for that and give notice to the public for that. So I would just say in the future, I don't think you need to take it all upon yourself. I was on the board too and didn't think anything about it as well about setting a beginning date for this. So I'm just as much at fault as anybody else on the board. So, but I just think in the future, I would strongly suggest we look at that as we go forward.
Thank you, sir. I did discuss this with Tommy in detail after this, and I completely understand where you're coming from. And based on calling this special called meeting, I kind of feel the same way now. I apologize for any inconvenience, but I'm grateful that you all showed up for tonight and were able to come for this special call meeting. Thank you. Any other board comments?
I apologize y'all for being late.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
I would like to second that.
We'll take that. All in favor? Let's go home.